Does dating get easier or harder as you get older?
Harder.
Way harder.
Why do you think that?
From my experience, it gets harder because I feel like as I've gotten older, my expectations are different. And I'm looking for something different than when I was younger. The things that
Are they higher or lower than they was when you were younger?
I would say they're higher, they're more intentional. Like I'm looking at things that are not necessarily visible.
Okay.
Versus when I was younger, like certain things didn't bother me. It wouldn't bother me if a guy didn't have a job or if he didn't go to like because I wasn't thinking about that. I was more thinking about in the moment when I had less to really consider. But as I've gotten older, I'm into more substantial qualities. So it makes it harder because you might like, one or two things about a person, but they might be lacking in something that I consider very important. And so therefore we could be friends, but we wouldn't be able to, have anything
or build
serious or to move forward with the friendship, so to speak. So it's definitely harder.
I don't think.
Is it me? Like she said, and for most women, I think as they get older, their standards seem to go higher, right? But I think as for men, and I speak for, I think not for all men, but maybe for majority of men, as we get older, our standards come down, but they become a little bit rigid as well. What do I mean by that? Maybe when we're younger, we want a woman who goes out, parties all the time. Is it, if she's loud or this, we don't care. Like we can put up with a little bit more. But when we get older, we want a few things, but they're very, they're very important. So don't disturb my peace. So don't argue with me. Be supportive. Be good looking. That's it. Majority of men will go with that. But as women, they get older, the list becomes even way longer.
I think it's harder.
You think it's easier?
It's not easier, no harder.
It's the same.
It's not. Because it's not the same. Let me explain.
It's nothing. It's not the same. Like
it's right.
Okay, let me not even ask that question. Okay, I can speak from it's subjective at this point, right? Because this is how I feel. This is how I view it.
Yeah.
As a grown woman, and then you entertain somebody that, there's like they're not the same age as you, but mentally, like, oh my gosh, like you guys connect. They're smart, they're intelligent, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like it's harder because there are people that are young that want the same thing that you might want in their current age. So I feel like mentally, if that person is mature enough, they can match up to me. It's hard for me to date somebody that's younger though, but I'm just saying if your paths align, the age is just that's the only gap. Like that's the only thing. But as far as like, because I'm in my 30s and you're in your 20s, mean that we want two different things. It may not be that's the case for me. I look at the mental and where are you in your life? Because there's a lot of 20-year-old men that are winning right now. Like they have their house already. They're in good, they're entrepreneurs. They're making 6, 7, 8 figure. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, where are you? And like, how do you even carry a conversation? It's the simple things for me. So in the beginning, I would say like, yeah, there is that issue of, I'm older now and these young men and these men don't know what they want. But from what I've been experiencing, I just feel like it's just the mental at this point. I just don't really think that's what it is.
I think men know what they want. I haven't had that experience. I'm a little older than you.
Okay.
So I think men know what they want very, very much so. I don't think it's that. I think the reason why it's a little harder is because you want, like, for me, I'm not interested in seeing multiple people, like I don't have the time, I don't have the patience.
Right.
I want to like really be into a person. And so in order to do that, you're gonna come into contact with people who you need to kind of vet and kind of see like where their mindset is, where they are, what they're actually looking for. If I meet a guy and he tells me like I don't want to be serious, I respect that, and we're gonna be friends.
Right.
Like you know what I mean. I'm not gonna try to push back on it. I'm not gonna try to prove you to pick me. None of that. You know what I mean? So as that goes on, you meet a lot of people. Like there's a lot of suitors. However, you weed people out, and you really want to have someone who you look forward to seeing. You want to spend time with. You don't want to just have multiple people who you're wasting time with. Oh, I'm gonna hang out with you this day, that day. I'm gonna do a random text. Text messages. You really want to have
But that
somebody
could be at any age, though. That could be
right. But I
age.
feel like when you're younger, like I didn't have the same values, so to speak.
And I think that even when we were younger, we didn't have all the shit we have right now.
Right.
Social media and none of that. It was like little hit and misses like MySpace and
We
shit
had
like
social
that.
media.
But it wasn't
Don't
like
drag it.
I think it wasn't as
It's
not as popular as it is now. These kids actually live for this shit right now. We didn't have to live for it. We walked to places. Remember, we had teen parties. When the last time you had a teen party?
Right, yeah.
When the last time somebody dubbed it on in a club? Like,
right?
Yeah, man. I think social media did a number on relationships and dating. Because a girl may have a friend, or actually, she may not even have a friend. She may be the kind of girl who doesn't care too much about a man's money. Okay, sure, she cares a man to be stable, but she doesn't care about going trips to Dubai and Jamaica and things like that. And then she'll open Instagram, see all these girls taking trips, and then she's going to look at her man like, how come he's not taking me to trips? But they have men who are taking them to trips. And also, before social media, a man was not afraid of his girl receiving over 100 DMs in inbox in her phone. But now, as a man, you're dating, but if you know your woman is on social media, best believe she has men in her inbox. Now, whether she opens those messages or not, but just know they're gonna be guys in her inbox. Either they're taller, they got more money, or something. So anytime you guys have an issue in a relationship, the chances of her going left or right are very high.
So I get what you're saying, but I think that what we're going through now is not the same as it was before.
Yeah.
Like we had the
social media.
We had to go out and
I think
bitch
social
by ourselves
media
like when it came to
what's
that.
messing it up at this point, honestly.
Yeah.
Social media has a lot.
There's another thing too, though. It doesn't. That plays a part, but y'all gotta understand too. Like women with so as women get older, their value is not as much. As men mature and get older, they get money. They have more of the pick of the litter. You get what I'm saying? So women now some women have babies, which with a successful dude, he's not trying to be with a woman that has a child because that might be a setback for him. So it plays a part and it's different. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's all subjective because I have a child already, and whomever my actual person will be, I would prefer them to have a child already.
Okay.
But if my younger self would be like, no, he has to come clean, no kids, no this, no now. Come if you have a child, perfect, because I don't want no more. And and then like if you've been married before, okay, let's see on what terms it ended. But at the end of the day, like everything does, like the little things that we looked back at and be like, this person had to be this, he had to be that. I look at myself and I'm looking at my older self like, what is wrong with you? Like that wasn't even. And, look at that now.
And
like,
what I'm attracted to has changed totally. You know what I'm saying?
For real, but
and I like. A lot of times, as a younger woman, we entertained dudes we knew,
but
wasn't really.
That's when y'all. But that's when y'all have the power, though.
Right. Exactly.
And I would say some women will use poor choice after that.
Right.
With that power.
Absolutely.
But you live and you learn.
Question. You said that you wouldn't date a guy if he had children. Like
I
if
would
he didn't.
prefer.
You prefer it? Okay.
Because
I was like, what if you vibe with somebody that didn't have kids?
That's what I'm saying. I have deleted the list. I no longer have a list. There is no list. Dating my type is not working for me. So am I insane to keep doing the same thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, delete that list. And I would encourage everyone to delete that list. Obviously, have boundaries and standards and things that you're not going to settle for. But this, he got to be 6, this, he got to be that, he got to be... All my followers know, like, I remember posting in the beginning of the year saying, I'm going to delete my list. My man no longer needs to be 6 something. He no longer has to be dark skinned, even though I prefer. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the little things now, because when you connect with someone, no matter how their age, well, obviously you don't want minors, but like the little gap, because people look at me and they think I'm 20 something. No, I'm not. But if we connect here and you can stimulate and we can have a conversation and you're going places and you don't have to now, like, oh, my man got to have his own house, but at least you have your apartment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, delete that list because it will hinder you from meeting your person. Don't let social media come in and be like, all these pretty videos that you seen people posting, and that it makes people depressed thinking that you can't find a man. No, sis, that man probably knocked at your door already, but you chose not to because he did not match what was on the list.
Yeah.
Facts. And shout out to her for being introspective and, you know, being self-aware, because so many women have this list of things they want in a man, and they swear for God, if a man doesn't meet a certain requirement, that he's not the man for them, and they're going to be feeling that they're going to be settling. It's like we've seen women reject men who are 6 feet because they're too short, and the women are 6'4", 6'5", rather 5'4", 5'5". They're way shorter than the guy, but because he's not 6'5" and he's just 6 feet, he's too short. So shout out to her, but I don't think majority of women are going to ditch the list of requirements they want, because for them that's settling and they don't want to settle.
Who do you think got this list, men or women?
Women. I could take accountability for that. I had a list.
I don't think I say I had a list. She could vouch for that. I've never really had a list because I've dated. I've had preferences, but everybody gets a chance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because if I connect with you and we vibed, and
equal opportunity dating,
and that's good.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and you know, I know for me, with certain things may work, you know, but may not work for me as I get to know you, though.
Right.
But I'm not going to just shun you away because it didn't work at that moment. I mean, because I didn't like you at that moment because you didn't have what she said, the 6 feet, the dark skin, the third, the financial. Nah, you know, I've always dated outside of the average box. So when people see me with somebody, they be like, oh, you with him. Okay.
I don't shun. I'm not saying I shun them. But now,
you know, like I connect with people differently. Like, you know, I don't know, maybe it's based on my background and me being familiar. Like, I've been nothing raised around men. And I know how men think and move and everything. That don't mean I treat the men I meet as such. Like, oh yeah, because you got that bitch, or you fuck with that girl. I'm not going in there with the intent of that. Because that's not what I do. And I'm not gonna get nowhere doing that. So, you know, I always feel a guy out.
Yeah, so Ace, how you feel about this? You think dating is easier as you get older or harder?
I would say, for me personally, dating has gotten much harder out here because it's not a lot of quality out here. Like, I'm trying to remember if it was quality back in the day. I don't know.
I was looking for quality.
I was looking for quality back in the day. So I don't know, but I think.
First of all, shout out to the ladies for being, you know, this is the first time I've seen some, you know, ladies give some good points on Daily Wrap-Up Crew. It's usually they give all these delusional things, right? But I think that helps when women start to at least understand that you're never going to get the perfect guy. And I think as men, it also, you know, happens to us men as well. Because at some point as a man, you're not going to get the Instagram body. You're not going to get the, you know, the IG model. You're not going to get the 10. So as a man, at least for men, sometimes reality slaps us in the face. So we can't have a big list because otherwise we're going to box ourselves out of the majority of options. Not even majority, but few options. Most men have very few options, right? But I think for men, dating gets harder as we get older because we get to realize that women actually care about the money. When we were in high school, we thought women only care about the swag, you know, and just having a good time. But as we get older, we realize women actually care about our money. So we got to work really harder. So we have to jump out of the fantasy and the Disney fairy tale of thinking that, you know what, you're actually going to get a woman to love you for you. No, she's going to love you if you're providing something.
Yeah, now that I'm looking for a quality woman, it's definitely hard because most women out here, they not looking to settle down. They out here. You got articles coming out about women not being trustworthy, they cheating in their relationships. So you really gotta sit down and
you somebody's saying that.
Somebody's telling lies.
That is not sassy.
Women, we're complaining.
I know.
How are you saying you can't find quality women, and we're saying we can't find quality men? Like, what's going on?
The disconnect is because women's standards are way higher than it should be sometimes.
Let me clear it up. When I said I had that list, didn't mean like I didn't entertain, like have a conversation with someone that wasn't on that list. But it all boils down to like who would get first conversation.
You know,
But that's the thing. If you have a list of 10, 15 things you want from a man, if a man has 8, you're going to leave him out. So what happens? Once he finds out you rejected him because he's 5'10" instead of being 6'5" like you want, that man loses confidence. He doesn't get more confident after you reject him. So either, right, he stops, approaching women for dating because they're like, okay, they want really tall guys and I'm not that tall to them. I'm short even if I'm 5'10". Or if he doesn't stop dating, he doesn't take women seriously because like they don't know what they want. They have all these crazy delusional standards.
You know, there's women that's saying, I will not talk to you unless you send money to my Cash App.
No,
Yes.
That shit is real.
Crazy.
Okay,
That's
that's crazy.
Let me tell you something.
That's crazy.
I actually respect sometimes how certain men move with females because for like 2 years, I had my brother's Instagram and he used to just tell me, just watch my DMs. And the way women would carry themselves, I honestly respect how men would move with them because it was disgusting, the shit I used to see. I'm talking about the girl knew he knew her man and she would still link him. Like, this was his man, like, I called you a friend or whatever, but where was your boundaries as a female?
Right.
So don't get mad when he start treating you a certain way, sweetheart, because you moved a certain way.
Because that's what you qualify for.
Yeah.
Understand, there are certain things that people qualify for and they get the treatment based on that. If you're in somebody's DMs saying that you got to cash at me first before we could talk,
that's a wrong message.
Have the expectations that they're going to treat you based on what you qualify for.
Right. So
Facts. Oh, she's speeding. She's cooking. Also, if everyone knew what they qualify for, because for example, I don't expect to date the same women like the ballers and athletes date. That would be delusional. But for some reason, average women think they deserve athletes and billionaires and millionaires.
Yeah, I think y'all made some great points. And I kind of agree with Ace as far as I think dating has become more difficult as you get older, because when you're younger, you have the time to entertain multiple women or multiple people in your example to find out who's the best compatible partner, right?
Right.
When you get older, you don't have as much time to entertain multiple people. So now you gotta
Your
fixate
mental
it
capacity don't even work.
one or two people, and then you don't get to build. It almost feels like you don't get to build that that bond with them because everything is so expedited nowadays. Because we're older, you know, the women are our age, they're older, they're trying to hurry up and have this child because they don't want to get to the point where they possibly can't have as many children. So now it just feels like everybody's trying to expedite the relationship, and then it just feels forced. You know what I mean? So even what you said, I respect the boundaries that you had, but sometimes it can come off a little bit strong if you meet a woman and she's like, well, these are my lists. Like, you know what I'm saying? I've seen some dating profiles where you just go on and shit there. Well, if you got to have this, my children come first. Just know that my children come first. You will never be first. And like, it's a whole bunch of shit. And it's like, God damn, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, can we even vibe?
Instagram bios be a little bit too much.
I'm like, yo, can we just vibe and fill each other out first without feeling like I have to automatically be your boyfriend from the beginning? Like, I've just met you. Like, it's either you're my boyfriend or that's it, because I'm not wasting my time. You know, some men are like that as well. So I think it is a little bit.
Not to mention, dating is fucking expensive these days, man. Like, you can't go on those simple dates no more. If you take a woman on a simple date, she's like, oh, yeah, you ain't got
what
no
is
money.
simple, though?
Like, for me personally, I'd rather just
park.
go get a drink with somebody just to fill you out to see if we could even go on another date. You know,
But you would do that. Some men are cheap and they do that just because they don't
but somebody might.
But that's the thing. The fact that you called a man taking you out for a drink cheap is the issue. Why does it gotta be cheap when you're both trying to get to know each other? So you want a man to invest all this money and then at the end of the day, you don't even like him? So you start eating your meal, your dinner, your expensive food, and then you find out you don't like him. So now you're stuck there with a plate full of food. Do you see what I mean? She's already calling the date cheap. She's calling men cheap on the first date just to get to know each other.
Consider me cheap because I want to do that.
But how we know that? How we know that he's being cheap?
Exactly.
I don't think to get a drink.
Listen, I'd rather go to I usually for the first kind of meetup or whatever, I'm like, let's meet at Starbucks or something like that, or let's meet at a park, like something simple, because I need to know if I'm actually feeling you enough to go forward. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I definitely understand we're in a recession. dates are very expensive, and certain dates you really don't get to know a person. If we go to the movies, I'm not gonna get to know you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a
You
fact.
need to be doing something active that's
Mhm.
gonna really show me how your mind works, how you think. You'll get to see how I think. It really will show you if you're really into this person based on doing certain things. And so sometimes sitting down and having dinner is just not it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
But then they want to ask you out to go to the club. I had a guy ask me out to go
I
to the
got
club
actually
I ain't never
for
did.
the first
That's
day.
weird.
Yeah.
I met you at the club.
Right.
I'm asking,
Right.
He
like,
sent me a whole. I'm like, he,
You
you know,
ain't
he
never
asked
lie.
me
That
out,
must
and
be
he
a
sent
promoter.
me the
Some
thing, and
promoters,
it's a
they
club.
will do that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
was
They
it like
save money
a
and make
Mm-mm.
money
was
at
it
the
like
same
a
time.
It's a nightclub.
was it like oh okay never
It's
mind.
a
I thought it was like a
nightclub.
lounge or something.
Or
It was
like
not a lounge. It was a
drinks,
club.
like that.
Yeah, some of those guys just want to go show off and like buy bottles, buy sections just to show off, or maybe get drunk with a girl, things like that. But a shout out to Daily Wrap Up crew. This was a good conversation, man. The dating scene right now as we get older is crazy. Women's standards are way too high. Men are giving up on dating because they call you cheap if you just want to go have a drink, just to get to know you. But it's like if we don't like each other, if you feel the energy, you can easily leave. It's just a drink. It's not a whole full course meal, and we have to stay stuck in front of each other if the energy isn't there. But if we vibe, we can always move on to the next time or to the next activity.